Hello and welcome everyone to the new series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pragya and today we are going to discuss a very important topic that is in news recently. The title of our today's discussion is Banning of Pusa 44. So you might be aware about the recent decision by the Punjab CM that they are going to stop the cultivation of this Pusa 44 from the next Kharif season. So in this discussion we will dive deep into the reasons behind such decision. Before we proceed further, let us discuss the points of discussion. So we will be talking about in our session about the Pusa 44. We'll also see its history of cultivation in Punjab. We are also going to see the yield generated by this variety. We are also going to see the discouragement of cultivation, the reasons behind the discouragement of its cultivation. We are also going to see the problem of increased stubble burning caused by this crop, and in the end we are going to see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. So if I talk about the news has been taken from Indian Express newspaper and it states that why Punjab wants to ban the cultivation of Pusa 44 variety. So we'll understand the reasons behind it in our further slides. So just the news is that recently, as I was talking about, the Punjab CM has made a statement or has said that the cultivation of this Pusa 44 paddy variety will not happen from the next Kharif season. So before we understand the reason behind it, let us understand that what is this Pusa 44 paddy variety. So Pusa 44 is a variety of paddy or rice and it is a long duration variety. What do we mean by this statement, long duration variety? That it takes more time to mature, to harvest, and that is why it is known as a long duration variety. And it takes around 160 days to mature, which is much higher than the short variety paddy or the medium variety paddy. And as this crop is sown before the onset of monsoon, it is a major consumer of groundwater. Kindly remember both of these points as it will help you to connect the dots of our further slides, or it will help you to understand the reason behind this banning of Pusa 44 cultivation. But before we dive deep upon the reasons, let us discuss or move forward to discuss the history of cultivation of this Pusa 44 in Punjab. So if I talk about this Pusa 44, it was developed in 1993 by the Indian Council of Agricultural Research or the ICAR. Subsequently, Punjab's farmers started sowing it in a few areas initially and it gained a lot of popularity since the 2010. Because why? It is a high yielding crop and they are getting good yields out of it, and that is why it became very popular, and slowly they started increasing the area of its production by multiplying the seed. So they started increasing the area of production also because of its high yield. So what do we understand by the high yield generated by this Pusa 44 variety of paddy? Farmers claim that Pusa 44 yields nearly 85 to 100 man, 34 to 40 quintals per acre, while other varieties yield averages 28 to 30 quintals per acre. So this variety was a high yielding variety and this was favorable to the farmers of the Punjab. Why? Because the recent MSP for paddy is rupees 2205 per quintal. So this high yielding variety used to fetch more MSP and hence increased the farmers' income, and that is why they were so satisfied with the high yield of this variety. So let us move further to understand the discouragement of reasons behind the discouragement of cultivation of this variety, though it being the high yield variety and the famous crop in the Punjab. So I was discussing this before when I was discussing the Pusa 44 variety, and I asked you to remember those points to connect the dots. So here are the dots that it is a long duration variety. The main reason why we are talking about it again and again that it is a long duration variety, because it takes almost 35 to 40 days more, 35 to 40 days more to reach its harvest final output, final product when it can be harvested. It takes a lot of time, like more time than the other varieties of paddy, and hence it requires 5 to 6 rounds of irrigation. 5 to 6 rounds. And it is a very water intensive crop. So if you look at the climatic conditions of Punjab, anyways it is not suitable for water intensive crops like paddy. They should have ideally left it for the northeastern states or the southern states who have, because paddy is resistant to high temperatures. It is not generally affected by the high temperatures. So they should have ideally left it behind for the cultivation in the southern states. But there is a problematic culture of monoculture in Punjab of sowing wheat and paddy on a regular basis. So being water intensive crop, and it leads to our third point, that depletion of groundwater. So this is the main reason behind all of this statement and behind the ban on this cultivation, that Punjab's groundwater is severely impacted. It is declining at a much faster rate. In fact, 102 out of 140 agricultural areas have been declared to be the dark zones. Dark zones means that the groundwater is declining rapidly and it's not increasing. Like the rate of recharge of natural increase is less than the replenishment rate. So that is why the Punjab government has thought about banning the cultivation of this variety from the next Kharif season, because it is a major consumer of groundwater, as we saw in the discussion today when I was discussing the Pusa 44 variety. So that is why I used to told to you to remember those points, as it could connect the dots from here, that being a water intensive crop and being a major consumer of groundwater and depletion of groundwater is the main factors driving the decision of the Punjab government to ban its cultivation. If I talk about another problems with this variety, so there is this problem of increased stubble burning as well. So what happens is, when we sow any kharif crop like paddy, we leave the residue of paddy, or known as the straw, in the fields, and when the next season rabi crops are being cultivated, the farmers burn the stubble to clear their fields. And this Pusa 44 variety is generating 2% more stubble than other varieties. So this is also very problematic in nature. Secondly, this Pusa 44 variety is generally harvested in the October end. And from November 1 is the ideal time start for sowing of the wheat crop. So you see, there is a very limited amount of time, and that is why the farmers, to clear their field, resort to stubble burning. And this stubble burning is the major cause of severe air pollution which we experience in the North India at the onset of the winter season, especially in the Delhi NCR region. So this is also a big problem with this Pusa 44 variety, that it leads to increased stubble burning, and that is why the Punjab CM has also thought of banning its cultivation. With this, we come to a conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen what is Pusa 44 variety. We have also seen the reasons behind the decision to ban its cultivation from the next Kharif season by the Punjab government, though it being a very popular crop in the Punjab. So why is it a popular crop? Because it is high yielding, and major areas were cultivated of this variety only in Punjab. And Punjab is reeling under a severe groundwater crisis. Water is not, immune from the impacts of climate change. We were seeing it in our environment primer lecture as well, that water, though it is an infinite resource, but we need to protect and conserve the water. And India is the major consumer of the groundwater, and that is why we need to concentrate our efforts on conserving this water, and by banning its cultivation and by promoting the short variety yields, the Punjab CM is trying to save 1 month of irrigation, and this will impact the groundwater positively. And that is why we have analyzed all of these reasons in our discussion today, that why finally they have said that they will ban this cultivation of this Pusa 44 paddy variety. Now let us see a practice question for your main prelims examination. So the question is, consider the following statements. Your statement number 1 is Pusa 44 is a long duration paddy variety. Your statement number 2 is it increases stubble burning in Punjab. Which of the following statements given above are correct? Your options are, option A is 1 only, option B is 2 only, option C is both 1 and 2, and option D is neither 1 nor 2. So kindly drop your answers in the comment box below. Now let us discuss a practice question for your mains examination. So your question is, comment on the phenomenon of monoculture in Punjab. So you'll introduce that the climatic conditions of Punjab are not suitable for water intensive crops. It is already reeling under the groundwater depletion crisis. So it should not promote the sowing of paddy and wheat only. It should follow the practice of crop rotation, and because of the continuous sowing of paddy and wheat, the topsoil is also deteriorating. Why? Because it is not receiving the natural fertilizers, and so those crops should also be promoted, which increase the soil fertility in Punjab. So we'll write all of this and then conclude that Punjab should, practice crop rotation. It should also focus on its problem of groundwater depletion, and it should also take measures to prevent it. So you can conclude by stating all of the above points and the points which I have discussed in my discussion today regarding the cultivation of Pusa 44, because it is a most favorite crop of Punjab. And you can write that instead of, preferring the long variety crops, we should leave the cultivation to the southern states which are having more groundwater. And then you can conclude that Punjab should work towards crop rotation as well as preserving its groundwater. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you liked the today's discussion and found it to be helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. If you have any feedback regarding this session, kindly drop it in the comment box below. Thank you.